This is Eric from Wakefield. Hello, Eric.
Hey, guys, a couple of things. Shime, you do a great job with the lead-ins, but you're never going to make a GM for the Patriots. So, first of all, let me just say this. I heard what you would trade back for the first-round pick, a first, and third, and a fifth. Chicago got 2 1s, 2 2s, and David Moore. And they're still recuperating. They're still giving this year's second-round pick. So, for the Patriots to only to get a third and a 5 and a future number 1, that's all it takes is 2 partners to try to get Shedeur Sanders. That's all it's going to take, and he's a better quarterback than Bryce Young. So even David Putney got back in the trade with draft day, so they should get a player back. And I'm just going to say one more thing, guys, and I'll listen to what you have to say. Gerod Mayo loses his job if they win this game. That's all I get to say, and I'll wait to hear what you got to say, but they need a ransom for the pick.
That the difference though is that Chicago moved up, Carolina moved from 9 to 1. In the scenario he was talking about, I was talking with Bradford about how the Patriots should move from 1 to 4. So you're moving a lot less farther down the board, so it's not going to cost as much. Also, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson were also all much more valuable at the time of the draft than Shedeur and Cam Ward are. So the price again is not going to be quite as high.
Also, was it Nick Wright suggesting that you're the New England Patriots and you trade Drake Maye?
Yeah, this guy is such an idiot.
That is just...
If you're the New England Patriots, you have to do your due diligence.
I mean, I'm sorry, though. That is just classic clickbait. Like, nobody actually believes that, right? Nobody thinks that is a good idea. That is somebody who just wants to get clicks.
Yeah, 100%. He's a Chiefs fan, and this is just a dumb take. Like, if you're the New England Patriots, you have your quarterback. You have zero intention of actually picking the number 1 overall spot. Like, there's no intention of doing that. You want to trade out to a team that wants a quarterback. That's all you want to do. And you want to acquire assets to then try and help build the rest of your team around Drake Maye.
Do you trust Eliot Wolf with all of these picks going forward?
No, absolutely not. I would be firing Eliot Wolf.
Well, they're going to have to at a certain point, because for so long, Bill Belichick took all of the slings and arrows when it came to people upset with how the draft wound up being, and they thought that Bill controlled it all. If we're seeing another bad offseason, that he has to go.
Greg, somehow, in one of the most historically great NFL drafts in memory, he missed on everything outside of Drake Maye, who he fell ass backwards into.
Correct.
How can
he doesn't
you trust
get any
him to do
credit
anything?
for Drake Maye?
No.
Like, there's no credit whatsoever for Drake Maye that goes to Eliot Wolf.
No, he was the 3rd quarterback available, and you were the 3rd pick.
This is Ryan from Manchester. Hello, Ryan.
We talked about this last week, Sean. Serious franchises don't trade the number 1 pick. Chicago's not a serious franchise. You can't say my organization is so incompetent, we've created so many holes that we're going to trade a potential Hall of Famer so I can get 3 offensive linemen and a wicked good special teamer. Sean, you take the best player available. You're not even close to winning.
Why would you take hold on, Ryan, why would you take the best player available? Does the best player available make you a good team next year?
Wait, you trading down and getting 3 linemen makes you a good team next year? Are you making a playoff and making a run?
I'm not saying take 3 linemen, Ryan. I said get draft picks so that you could draft in next year's draft that should be better than this one.
Ryan, you're saying...
So here's my other point, Sean.
Ryan,
what gives you any inkling to think that they can make those draft picks work? What gives you any confidence that they're going to turn around and make these work?
That's exactly why I said fire Wolf.
$50 million in cap space.
You need to listen, Ryan. That's why I also said fire Wolf and bring in somebody who actually knows how to do the job. Like, I've been very consistent on this. It's trade down to acquire picks, can Wolf's ass because he can't make any picks, and bring in somebody who actually knows how to evaluate talent.
Kraft makes the decisions. John Kraft is your GM, and when you can start to accept that, maybe you can start to see the bigger picture.
Yeah, if the Krafts are your GM, then you're just permanently screwed. Like, that's nothing. If that's
exactly.
And if that's the case, you're going to miss on taking the number 1 pick anyways. So I'd rather you take as many shots on the target as you can.
Be happy about Shime. We've got 4 years. The sacrilege of this organization is letting Tom Brady walk out the door because you wouldn't pay the guy, and then you stabbed Bill Belichick in the back, and you got together in cahoots with all the other owners to say you can't hire this guy, because if he hired him and he won a Super Bowl, it would be a bad look for the Krafts. So the Krafts stabbed him in the back. He's now at UNC. You got to be kidding me. Don't tell me the Crafts aren't doing this all behind the scenes. They only hired Eliot Wolf and Jerod Mayo because they're yes men. Remember, they wanted their team back, and they got it. So give me something to be excited about. Travis Hunter is exciting.
But that's the thing. If they're going to pick at number one, they're going to take a tackle at number one, Ryan. That's what you're not understanding.
No, they will not.
Yes, Ryan, I would wager any amount of money that I own that's exactly what they would do if they stayed at number one. Well, they're not taking Travis Hunter.
Let's have this conversation next year, and let's remember this. Is if they take an offensive tackle at number one, I mean, listen, I wouldn't doubt it. But if they do it, the fan base will revolt. Do you think they're going to bring back Mayo next year, and should they?
I think they will. I don't think they should.
Oh, you finally came. Wait a minute. You finally come over to my side on that.
Yeah, and it happened when Keon White decided to start saying there needs to be changes, which indicated to me there was a lot of issues in that locker room. And so once you're bad and you start losing the locker room, that's when you deserve to be fired. It's one thing to just be bad when you have a bad roster and you're given a bad roster, but then when you actually start losing your locker room on top of that, which is like the most important job as a coach, you then deserve to lose your job.
Lost the locker room a long time ago.
I think the mutiny.
When you actually think about it, I think the mutiny thing was actually more accurate than
probably.
But that was Drake May related.
But it was Drake May.
It didn't matter. It doesn't matter what it's related to. It's.
I think it does.
It doesn't. If they get a bad taste in their mouth with the guy in charge, then that's probably going to linger for quite some time. I mean, to say that it was Drake May related, I don't think matters.
But
if
I don't know
there's
that
a mutiny in the locker room, a great head coach is able to right the ship. It doesn't seem like that happened.
And he did. But like at the time, he did.
He did?
Yeah, by putting in Drake May, he then righted the ship for the time being. And then they continued to lose a ton, and they continued to be bad. And so then people lost their minds. And I think the mutiny originally wasn't directed at Gerod Mayo, because Gerod Mayo told us Drake May was the better quarterback. He clearly wanted to start Drake May off the bat, but was told he couldn't. And so the mutiny would have been in reaction to the people above him, not him. I think now, though, the reaction from guys like Keon White indicate to me that he's started to lose the locker room.
But
and
Shine,
he's losing those guys.
That is when the media actually does play a part, because Gerod Mayo has told us on this show that that these guys listen to what's being said or what he is saying through the media. So if he's saying that Drake May is the better guy and that he is the one who makes all of the football decisions because he is the head coach, then they have to believe that. They just
they did, and they believed him.
But this is his problem: is he says that, and then he says, but I consult with everybody in the organization. I make all the decisions, but I get input. But but Courtney's right. Like, he's sitting there on this show at the end of camp and saying that Drake May was the better option.
Yeah, he absolutely did, and he was being told he couldn't start him. Like those, I don't think he has made like one legitimate coaching decision. I think so all of those decisions were made for him,
and that's a shame.
By whom?
Because he's been
people
screwed.
Above him. Whether it's Eliot Wolf or the Crafts, somebody is making those decisions for him.
This is Kenny from Norwood. Hello, Kenny.
If I were Gerod Mayo, I would, after Sunday's game, I would resign before I destroy my coaching future any further. And I would drag the Crafts through the mud. I would say I was given an absolutely horrible roster with the exception of lucking into Drake May. I wasn't allowed to pick my coordinators or any of my staff. And I've had the ownership breathing down my neck over every decision that I make. And he might even come clean and said, I wanted to start Drake May. Week one on the Crafts would let me. I would walk away, start fresh, because he's probably going to get fired and probably never going to get another head coaching job for a long time if this is the way he appears to be as a coach.
Yeah, I mean, the unfortunate thing is that even if you're not, your hands are tied and they're not allowing you to make any decision, you took the job, and in the end, you're the head coach, so you ought to be out there doing whatever you want to do. Get fired for what you want to do, not for what somebody else tells you to do.
Yeah.
Is the philosophy that he ought to embrace.
He probably feels a lot of like he owes the Crafts a lot, though. As a rookie head coach, I hear you. Like, he should be going out doing what he thinks is best, not what anybody above him or next to him is telling him to do. But if you're Gerod Mayo and Robert Kraft gives you an opportunity like this, you probably owe some loyalty towards him, or you feel like you owe a lot.
But basic decisions that you would think are like the natural decision that one would make, that aren't being made by other people, in-game decisions, he's not even making those. I mean, he's not, like we talked about it earlier. He's got Drake Maye in that blowout after getting his bell rung. Like, he doesn't. Nobody else is going to make that decision. Make that decision yourself.
Yeah.
You know, he when it comes to bad spots, he doesn't even. I don't even know if he sees it but he doesn't. He certainly doesn't get out there and say, "Wait a minute, that's a horrendous spot." I just don't think he's a really nice man.
He wasn't ready for this, Greg. Like, let's be completely honest. He was a guy thrown into a job he had zero qualifications for.
In your minds, though, is there a glaring oversight, or has there been just a lot of little things that add to not wanting him or thinking he is ready for the job? Like, has there been one major, this is a fireable offense in your mind, or is it just the way he walks back in the media, the way in which he didn't start Drake Maye in the beginning when we think he probably wanted to, the way in which he handles in-game decisions? Like, to me, I just wonder if there is something so glaring that the Crafts can point to and say, yes, this is why he's out.
Well, don't you think the delay in starting Drake Maye is a giant mistake?
Yes.
Yeah, but the Crafts won't blame him for that because, again, I don't think it was his decision. Like, that was probably Eliot or Van Pelt or the Crafts' decision to wait on Drake Maye. Like, that wasn't his, so they're not going to blame him for that. If they're going to blame him for anything, it's the monstrous amount of miscues he makes in the media, the decisions in game, the lack of aggressiveness. Like, those are the things that the Crafts can point to.
What about the decline of the defense?
Absolutely. That's another thing that they can absolutely point to.
Which should be his bread and butter. They stink.
Yeah. They can't get any pressure. They can't stop the run to save their lives. I mean, and that's just tackling. That's just effort and tackling a lot of the times. And they still can't do that.
You know, and every Wiggy for a long time pointed, and Curtis pointed at the roster that he was left with as an excuse. And I get that part of it. But you had a massive addition in the form of Drake Maye, and you had a much easier schedule this season than you had last season.
Yes.
And you're not gonna beat last year's win total. So that's a failure.
Well, he says injuries, though. That's what Gerod always points
there's always
to.
Injury. There's always
every
injury.
NFL team deals with injuries.
I
So are the
understand.
Lions, and yet the Lions are like, you know what? We have an entire starting roster worth of players on the IR on our defense. Doesn't matter. We're going to go score 50 points and win every game.
I don't know how you can look at Mike Vrabel and the fact that he wants this job and is telling people that he wants the job and not consider him.
Yeah, I mean, you have to consider him.
That's business malfeasance if you're the Crafts and you don't at least consider that.
But, like, more importantly, they need to do, like, legitimate hiring searches. They need to talk to people outside of the organization, outside of just friends of friends, and people they don't know, and, like, learn a few things. Whether it's, you know, GMs from outside the organization, coaches from outside the organization.
But you get all that with Mike Vrabel. He has the connections, he has the staff, he's done the job before. He hits the ground running like he's.
But then you also put your quarterback in a tough spot because now you're bringing in Mike Vrabel's offensive coordinator, and if your quarterback makes him good, he might get a head coaching job, which brings in another offensive coordinator. So, like, it would also behoove the Crafts to interview offensive coordinator possible head coaches, guys like Liam Cohen or Zach Robinson, or you know, the Bobby Slowicks of the world. Interview those guys and bring them in and at least talk to them. Because you have to do an entire search this time. Because last time you didn't even interview anybody.
No. This is Dave from Connecticut. Hello, Dave.
Hey, good morning. I hope everybody had a nice vacation.
Yes, sir. How about?
I just wanted to just make a comment on this upcoming draft. I think it's probably the most important one post Brady. And Shime's 100% right. It doesn't matter if you have the first, third, 10. If you don't have talent evaluators in your room, it's the Patriots have none because look at the draft. They fell into Drake Maye, the only reason why they got him. Now, you look at a team like the Chargers. You know, you listen to the game, and they're pointing out, oh, this is a first-year player out of the second round, out of the first-year player out of the sixth round. Those people know how to evaluate talent. We have nobody nobody that knows how to evaluate talent. That's where they need to spend money. Go out and find those guys, pay them, and bring them here. Because if not, season ticket holders like myself, this is our last year. I'm giving it because you can't break even. I used to get tickets because I could at least sell them and break even and go to see a few games. But, this is the first year that I was glad I had tickets on the visitor side because I could actually sell some of my tickets. I lost money on them. But the people who are coming from out of town, they're buying our tickets on our side rather than the Patriots side. It's kind of sad.
It is. I hope you weren't booing.
But
that's classless.
The Crafts have to realize that their season ticket holders, they're losing them.
So I think they probably see it.
But if they're seeing that and it's money out of their pocket, then that's when you're going to have to do some real change. And that's when you're going to see a difference with the Crafts. It's going to take them feeling the impact of people not wanting to go to games.
How are they not feeling it? Their fans are chanting that they want the head coach fired. Like, how are they not feeling that?
Well, I mean, the fans were chanting that they hated Mac Jones last season.
And he's no longer here.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead, he's throwing to Brian Thomas, the best receiver I've ever seen.
He's had a little bit of a turnaround.
Okay. Time to relax.
He lost to the Raiders. Let's